Alrighty, so we're back with the second portion of, I guess, nail education. And I'm not kidding. I've taken like a day or two break since I last recorded because I was serious. Nails do take time and it's pretty strenuous. And I think one hand, like I believe I've mentioned before, usually takes me about 2 hours to 2.5 hours. So then, of course, finding the effort and the energy to do the next hand usually takes a little digging deeper. So back the next day to kind of teach and go through how to do the removal process. Now, that's not as tenuous as the application, but this does involve more of like a disclaimer or a warning, only because it's just with heavier chemicals and you're leaving it soaking. It's not just something that you're doing in terms of, typical application. Just be careful here and there. No, this is like true acetone-esque paint stripper remover product that you're using on your nails. So I believe I sent you this guy here, which is the artificial nail remover. And I may send you some more in the future of what I'm currently using, which is the gel removal solution from Gel Care. So this is a recent brand that I started using. They're fantastic. However, their customer service and shipping is... I didn't send you that one only because the reorder process and the reshipping process for me, no less, has been a goddamn nightmare. So that's why I didn't send you that one. I sent you the old reliable Gelish, which is essentially the partner to the blue cleansing gel that I've been using and you will be using throughout most of your gel application and all the way to removal. But for the removal process, you're going to be using the Gelish artificial nail remover. And I think if you have looked through everything that I did send you, I did also send you a larger box with nail foils in it that already have a nice, convenient cotton swab already attached to it. This has been a goddamn lifesaver. I'm not sure why I haven't bought these earlier or sooner, but I haven't. So these guys are going to be super convenient and helpful for when we move forward to this next step. And really, it's just those two things. The other thing that you're going to want to do in this process, and you don't have to do, there's two different ways to do it. And I tend to, I don't know why, I'm just stubborn and I'm impatient. So I take the second way that I'm about to tell you. But the first way, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking your thinner nail file and you're just going to be scuffing up your old manicure with the coarser grit of your nail file. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and file every single nail that, of course, you're going to be removing. In this instance, it's going to be this hand. You take your coarse grit and you run it along there. And that's basically it. But what I do to get in preparation for removing prior to the chemical application that we're about to do is I take this guy, a little nail drill, and what I'm going to be using here is I'm going to be using a very, very coarse grit nail file. So this is probably the coarsest grit that I have. It hurts to touch. Let me go ahead and put that guy right there in front of the camera. This guy right here, it looks soft. It's not soft. It's got some hard teeth to it. So I think you also have something similar to this in your kit as well. But basically what you're doing, and you could even use this same technique with the little mandrel bit as well. Basically what I do is I pop that onto my nail file and I go over all of my nails and get them as thin as possible. And what I mean by that, you're going to notice it when you look down the barrel of your nails, you're going to notice that there's some thickness to it. There's some oomph to it. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to file that off, or at least get it as thin as possible. It's an extra step. You don't have to do it. Again, I just don't like I guess the soaking process. I don't know what it is. I really don't like it. So that's where I am going to be doing the second part. That's what I do. You could do what I told you earlier, which is just using a simple nail file, the coarse grit side, and then scuffing up your nails. And at that point, you're just taking your foil paper, the one with the little cotton portion already attached to it for you, and you're just going to take this guy and put a little bit on there. Be careful. It comes out really fast because there is just that funny little hole there on the top. So what I would do is I would take the nail foil, place that guy on the cotton ball, the cotton side, onto the little hole here, and then turn it upside down. And then you can feel it getting cold, and then you could see that it's already saturated. I don't know if you can see that. But I could see it, and you'll see it because it's probably gonna run all over your table surface and whatever. So just try to avoid that as best as you can, even though it's difficult to avoid sometimes. And you'll notice that the pad is pretty moist, and you just take the folded side, this guy here with the lettering, and you put that towards your skin, like more towards your finger, and you just wrap it. You put the cotton ball on top of your nail and you wrap it as tight as you possibly can, and you fold it up, and it should look something like a little hot mess like this. Just something to just start putting the chemical on your nail. And then it'll start eating away at the polish and at all of the adhesion material that we put on there. And then you can kind of go from there. I popped it off because I haven't gone through any of the filing process or anything, so that's just gonna sit there for no reason. Because if you don't have the shiny layer buffed off, it's just gonna be sitting there for no reason. So that's one of the more important things here, is making sure you have all of your shiny layer buffed away, because any shiny that's left, the chemical here, the acetone, isn't going to be able to penetrate through the clear layer, and it's just going to kind of sit there. You're going to have a hard spot when you're going to scrape it away with your little cuticle pusher, which is what I use to scrape away the material that's there. So what you're going to want to do is after, and I don't know how you want to do this. I was always able to do it for you, so you were able to do two hands at once. But I know you and you like to touch everything when I tell you not to touch things. So maybe it might be best for you to do one hand and then the other. I'm not sure. You'll be able to gauge what you'll be able to do and what you want to do as you get further along in the process. You can sit there and watch a TV show, let something soak, and then at the end of that TV show, you can go ahead and remove your little foils. And then start removing. What you're going to want to do to prep your area, though, to make sure that you're catching all of the debris, is make sure you have yourself a paper towel at the ready right there in front of you, and you're going to want to start scraping. So once I demonstrate that, you're going to see how important that is, because there's a lot of shit that comes off of your nails. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and file everything away, foils, and your solution. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hop over to the part 2 part, which is when I start using my drill to get that shiny layer off. And I'll start demonstrating that for you. What I do there is I end up using a higher RPM on my nail file. And I think this is something that you've experienced, and some of the pain that you've experienced in the past is those crazy heat spikes from the nail drill. So one of the reasons that happens is because it's heat building up very, very high and very, very fast because of the higher RPMs on your nail file. And you start experiencing burn down into your natural nail bed. So it's definitely something that happens faster with those really coarse grit nail bits. And that's kind of how it works with the nail file here. So that's one of the reasons why you would be experiencing any heat spikes. So this is something that you're going to have to practice on your own, using the nail file and trying to find that sweet spot for you and where you can tolerate using it, and where some of those RPM speeds you want to be using, because it can fucking suck, especially if you have a lot of area that you're trying to get off at once. This particular manicure set is going to be a bitch for me, because I made it particularly thick. It's just a look I was going for. I don't know. But if you end up with a really thick nail, or you end up having a lot of surface area you need to take off because of a thick build you did on your nail because of a particular nail art or something of that nature, you're going to end up with a burn that happens really fast. So you just take breaks. What I do is I start filing with one finger and I start feeling that heat, and I move on to the other, and then I move on to the other, and I move on to the other. But one of the things that's going to be extremely important to note on that is when you are using your nail drill, keep away from your cuticles. I still do it, and I've been doing this for a long time. I've been using a nail drill forever, but I fuck my cuticles up. I cut myself so bad because I'm in the middle of something and it'll hop, it'll bounce or skip, and then there I have a huge cut across my finger. And at that point, that's when you start having issues and you have to start questioning whether it's sanitary for you to move forward with your manicure. Because at that point you have an open wound that is sore, that is going to be exposed to some pretty heavy chemicals. And that is when you have those critical areas when you start running into permanent allergies, critical and mass infections that happen on fingers because people are putting chemicals in open boo-boos. So don't do that. One thing that I've done is I know I've cut myself pretty bad using any of these bits that I've talked to you about, and I'll stop. I'm like, well, that's it for me today. And I'll just leave half my manicure off, or I'll skip that finger completely and work on it the next day, because I've never wanted to take the risk of creating an environment on my fingernail or my nail bed or my cuticle area that would host any kind of infection or any kind of situation where I'm having an allergic reaction to the products that I love using. So be mindful that once you do start getting those open sores and those open boo-boos in your fingers because of a pretty aggressive nail use from a nail drill, stop. I would say stop. Skip that nail, come back another day. It sucks because you want to just have it done, but it's more important for you to be safe with the products that you're using than to just be done and over with. So please keep that in mind when you're using any of these products. That goes for everything that you're using. If you're using tiny little scissors to like clip away some straggly pieces of skin, or if you're using your little nail nippers or the cuticle nippers to get away pieces of skin, or if you're just cleaning up your cuticle area, if you're creating sore spots or open wounds on your fingers or your cuticles, stop what you're doing. You're doing it wrong, and you're just going to introduce a series of horrible events that can create an environment that pus loves, that infections love. So just avoid that with everything in you, I would strongly suggest, because this can create long-term damage that you don't want to have or foster on your fingers, because of course this is something that you eat with, this is something that you see constantly, and of course it's one of the first things that people end up seeing as well when they see you, is your hands. So it's just kind of a subconscious thing that humans kind of do, is take a look at the hands of the people that they're about to shake, and genuinely people don't want to see hands full of weird pustules and like open sores and wounds. So please just be careful when you're working with this nail drill. When you're working towards your cuticle area, put it on lower RPMs, drop it down. It's going to take longer, but honestly, it's worth it, so you don't hurt yourself in the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try and bring you in pretty close to see if I can use my nail drill I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it because all the dust may fly up and hit the camera. I'm not sure. So we'll see how it goes. If it goes well, you're going to see footage of me drilling my nails. If it doesn't go well, then I drilled my nails, and that's we had to hop to that part. So, but I really, really do want to end up giving you a good product for education on how to use the drill, because that's one of the quickest and fastest ways that you're going to hurt yourself using any of these products. There's a ton of products that you now have. That drill is going to hurt you the fastest out of all of them, because you do get comfortable using it. And once you start getting comfortable with something, you start losing the fear of it, just like anything else out in the world. And then you start getting too comfortable and you forget your core values on what you learned, and you end up with bad situations. Please be careful. And what we're gonna do is come on in and see if we can get some nail filing techniques worked on. If not, we'll move on to the next step, I guess. All right, so I've gone ahead and I brought you nice and close. And as you can see, I do have a manicure that's definitely ready for removal. As you can see, some of the nail is pulling away from my cuticle area quite a bit. And I ain't about all that, so definitely ready for a new manicure on this hand, even if just to remove it completely. So what I'm going to be doing is, like I said, trying to show you a couple different methods with the different nail bits. This is the one that I'm going to be using first, but if you don't have one of these in your arsenal, definitely you have that one in your arsenal. I know for sure I sent you that one because that is probably one of the best that you're going to have to work with. And it's you know, pretty universal and versatile, because if you don't have one of these crazy ceramic bits, the ones that I sent you, because I can't quite remember if I sent it to you or not, then you'll have a multitude of these different bits. Now, remember when I first told you, you do have a box of them, and I believe it's 180, 120, and 80. And the higher grit it goes, or excuse me, the 80 and up, and the 80 would be the most coarse. So what you could do is always grab the most coarse sanding band and then start sanding away at your nails from there. But again, like I said, keep in mind, work slowly. It can be a bit dangerous. So one of the reasons that I do actually like using this guy is because it does have a bit of a cone shape at the end, and it helps me get a little closer to my cuticle than I'm typically able to with a more boxy mandrel bit or a sanding bit there. So again, whatever you have in your arsenal that you can use to just take some of the bulk away of your nails, cool. If you don't have, no, you have everything. You have everything you need. I was actually thinking about the different things that I sent you in the gamut of things. So you have everything that you need. The one thing that I don't think you have this guy, and only because it kind of just slipped my mind from sending this one. So you could use, again, here, just nail clipper to get started here, because what you're not wanting to do is try and soak off all of this product. We don't need to. We just need to soak off what's on our nail bed, right? We don't need to soak off whatever long tip we happen to have on there. So again, before we get started, go ahead and remove all the jewelry, because that is definitely going to get messed up because we're going to make a lot of debris. So what you're going to want to do, of course, and I'm actually going to do it with a simple nail, just a nail trimmer, because I know I didn't send you the Cool Guy one, and I'll try and send it to you. There's a couple of things that are coming to my mind now that I'm kind of going through this course with you that I wanted to send and I didn't, so I'm probably going to send those. And go to work. So I think I told you that I was trying to save my natural nail that's underneath here. I want to save the length, so I'm not going to try and cut very short. what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my nail over, see where my natural nail is. Now I'm not going to cut right where I know it is, because for some reason, these products tend to have cuts and cracks that travel across the nail. So the closer you cut, say, to your nail bed, the higher the probability of you having a crack that goes across here and hurting you. So you'll feel it pull away from the nail bed and it'll hurt really bad. So if you are cutting your nails, try to stay further away from here. Stay just closer towards the tip or the edge, and then you should be okay there. For me, just doing a quick snip one side. Oops, I think I just got my natural nail, shit. Then the other, and then I just bend it up and break it off. Let me make sure. Yep, I'm good. My natural nail is still good underneath there. That's how long they are. And those jagged edges, those are completely fine. We'll take care of those, of course, once we start soaking everything off with acetone. So I'm gonna go ahead and start nipping everything away. And then I will be back here in a moment to commentate the next stage. Be careful. Oh shit, I don't even know where it went. Fuck. Be careful. It's gonna come back and smack you in the face. So now that you have those kind of trimmed down and they're a little more manageable length, that's where you're going to hit this with a nail file or a nail drill. And I think it's worth noting, this is a good place for you to contemplate your life choices. The reason I say it like that is because this is going to be extremely difficult for you. And I say it that way because this is your right hand. And you're going to have to practice. Not only practice application and how to use these products, but because you're not ambidextrous like I am, and you're right-handed dominant, so using your left hand for high dexterity things is going to be extremely frustrating, and it's going to feel like you have a dead fish in your hand, or once you try to do some of these really high detailed things with your left hand, you're going to get really frustrated really quick. So try to be, again, kind to yourself and take your time, because you're going to need it at this phase. So, shit. I think I cracked my natural nail on this one here that I was struggling with earlier. Crack in this nail. And I don't know if you can actually see that. Yeah, you see that crack, the way it traveled all the way up. So that crack you can't see because this is an opaque white, but that crack went all the way up here, about ready to hurt me. So that's why you need to cut a little further away, because had I not been taking extra precaution and measures there, I would have had a really painful situation caught on camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to prep my nail drill and get everything ready for filing. Okay, so I'm back with a nice thick hefty boy here, and like I said, you're going to need to be careful here because this is where you're going to end up hurting yourself the most. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to work with my thumb and keep this in camera as best as possible because I went off camera a little yesterday. And show you a proper technique. And this is going to be weird because I'm craning my arm in a weird way. But that's just the way it is. So I'm going to turn my drill on. And as you can hear, I don't know if you can hear that, how high that is. That's pretty high. So it's going to take the product off quickly because it's thick. This is a thick polish that I have on here. I was doing an opaque white and it ended up really, really thick. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is work from here out and try and stay away from my cuticle area altogether because it is pretty thin there. As you can see, you can actually see my natural nail under there. And then it gets way more opaque here towards that means that I have more product here. So there's a switch usually on your drill that kind of switches things from counterclockwise to clockwise. I currently have this on the clockwise motion. Yes. So slow, steady motions. Okay. That's making a lot of ruckus, and that's okay. As you can see, it's throwing a lot of nail dust as well. That's okay. Sometimes I go outside to do this, so if you feel like doing that, that's fine too. Just because there's so much nail dust that's going to be kicked up, and I don't have a nail dust fan because they're so expensive. And you probably want to put on a quick mask or something if you're worried about inhaling any of these dust particles. Also, having a fan on in the background isn't going to help. It's just going to push the dust particles around. So make sure you don't have any air or anything flowing directly at you, because it's just going to make the dust go everywhere, and that's not a good idea. So as much as possible, I'm doing slow, controlled movements down my nail. Got a really good grip on my nail drill so it doesn't bounce away from me and hurt me. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is, instead of having the nail bit drill towards you, and you're going to feel that once you put that down on your nail, because as I feel this, if I let it go, it's going to bounce up towards my cuticle area. That's really dangerous. So if you lose control of this drill, it's going to hit you and it's going to cut you. If I let it do that right now, I'm going to end up with a massive cut on my finger. And I'm not doing that for you on camera. Okay. As you can see, we've made a pretty decent sized mess with just one nail. So, but now you can see definitely more of my natural nail underneath there. And I've taken off a really decent chunk of the thickness for that nail. And then this is going to be quite easy for me to soak off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and file the rest of them. And we can go over to the soaking process. But again, this is a pretty decent sized mess that we have here. So just keep in mind that you are going to be making a pretty decent mess when you're doing this. All right, so we're all filed, and as you can see, shit's looking real different over here. It looks kind of like a hot mess, but that's okay. What I've done is I've gone ahead and used, like I said, that really heavy drill bit. You can also use your little sanding bit with a higher coarse sanding band on there, which will, of course, accomplish the same result here. So the reason that I do this is because it takes about half the time when I'm soaking in the little nail foils. So this is what, of course, the nail foil looks like up close. You'll notice that, like I said, the little cotton ball is there already for you. But I've noticed that when I do this step, it takes half as long for me just sitting there and soaking. And again, if you're not impatient like I am, you don't have to do this step. All you have to do, again, is just take your normal thinner one in terms of nail filing or nail file and use the coarser side. You can get the same result. You don't even have to get all the paint off. You don't have to do anything. That's what the chemicals are for. But for some reason, I'm just impatient, and this is what the step I decide to do. And if you want to practice using your drill or your nail drill, this is also a good opportunity to learn and practice what it feels like in your hand. Some of the pulls and the tugs that it's going to do on you, and then you're going to end up with a different hand control. Even if you have to take your hand and place it on your leg and slowly, you know what I mean? Have more control of what you're doing, and you're having to roll one hand versus moving this hand a bunch that's controlling the drill. You find what works best for you, okay? I know that there's definitely different techniques on how to use your drill, but you need to find what works best for you and how you're going to minimize damaging your skin and your natural nail bed, because the utmost importance here is your safety. And I want to make sure that you're as safe as possible when using these things, because again, there's some pretty big outcomes that can come from this that are pretty negative. So now that we're here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start working with the pink solution here, and we're going to be using the artificial nail remover, this liquid here. I've noticed that this is relatively harsh. This is basically a straight up acetone. I'm not quite a fan of this one. Like I said, I've started using the Gel Care solution, and this one actually has some really, really nice smells along with it. It's not a straight chemical smell, and it's also a little more oil based, so it's not as harsh on your skin. So the cuticle area, you're not going to end up with a lot of drying. So what I do here is I reach over and I grab my nice cuticle oil, and I put a little bit of my cuticle oil here on my nails before I get started, because either of these solutions, whatever I'm going to use, is going to be very drying. It's going to hurt your skin. So go ahead and hydrate. Hydrate your nail plate or your skin area. Like I said, I need to make the word cuticle part of a drinking game or something. I swear I say it too much. Ugh. It's like an obsession of mine. But rub that junk in. And make sure that you're getting all of your areas like this around your finger, because it's about to get real. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do the nail wrap on my thumb first, because I've noticed that working with my thumb is probably the easiest way for you to see what I'm actually doing here. So again, I'm going to take my nails, artificial nail solution, and I'm going to hold my paper like this, or my foil like this, and then go like this. Don't lift it. If you lift it from here, oh shit, see, I lifted it and now I have a mess. So I've got a mess here, so don't do that. Yeah. Learning from my mistakes. So when you're tilting this onto your foil, don't lift the foil away from here, because it's just going to leak everywhere, as you just saw. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your foil that is now saturated, the little cotton part. You're going to take this nice little band, put this towards your finger, and this is going right over your nail. Okay, so place that there. Boop. And you're going to wrap one side, you're going to wrap the other, right? I hold. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm holding it, and then I take the excess here and I fold it up, and then I crimp it nice and tight. And if you've put too much solution on your cotton ball here, inside you're going to feel it come out here, and it's going to start getting on your skin, which is what you don't want. So try not to put so much solution on there like I did on accident. Been doing to avoid that. I've actually been using this little guy here. It's a tiny, tiny pipette. I'm going to see if I can't find one for you, or find a pack of them for you. These are super helpful because this is helping me control how much I'm putting on each one of my foils. So I grab one of my foils and I lay this out, and I'm going to be using this one. I'm actually curious to see if they work the same or same speed. So I'm going to try one and then the other. So I'm going to, there's my bottle, and I'm going to put my little pipette in there, grab some solution, and I'm going to drip that onto my cotton piece here. And there you go. I think I already, yep. And that's nice and saturated. I think I'm gonna have to do it again because I think my pipette has a little hole in it. There you go. Make sure that's nice and saturated. And then you're gonna go ahead and put this on your next finger. So what you do is you're going to be having a lot of your other help or help from your other fingers. So again, lay your finger on the cotton part, wrap like this, right? And then wrap like this, hold it with another finger and oops, fold up and crimp. There you go. You got a nice little club finger. And then you're going to do the same thing with the rest of them. Okay, now that your fingers look like tiny little pieces of leftovers, you're going to go ahead and let this soak. And it really depends on the manicure that you had on before you decided to do your soaking and how much filing you did. It's going to determine how long you need to soak this for, okay? So typically I would say anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes you will need. And then from there, you're going to each one of your nail foils individually, and you're going to do some handy work with this guy. So what I would suggest is kick back, relax, let this formula do its magic, and wait until the next phase and when these need to come off, which is in 15 or 30 minutes. And I would say keep an eye on how your fingers feel. Just make sure that you're not having any excess burning or pain sensation here. If you are, that means you're probably allergic, mildly allergic to some of the solution. And then we'll have to find you a different or an alternative method to soak these off because we really don't want you to be in pain at this phase. So what you want is you're just going to hang out, and we'll be back here in a minute. But make sure when you do come back, you prepare yourself with a nice paper towel, boop, boop, and you've got your handy dandy cuticle pusher for you waiting. So you have everything set up and ready because this is all you're going to need for the next phase. All right, it's been a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and pull my nail foil off. So all you have to do, take a grab here and pull. And you're going to feel a little bit of resistance because some of that material may get stuck on the cotton ball inside. But once you have it off, what you're going to do is you're going to take your little handy dandy pusher here, and you're just going to start pushing that material off. Now, I probably didn't let mine sit too long because only a little bit is coming off. I don't know if you could see that. Not a lot's coming off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take that little foil, slip that bad boy right back on. Boop, boop. And make sure it's nice and crimped, of course. But there you go. You can actually do that each time. It doesn't matter. Even if you've been sitting there for 15 or 30 minutes and you notice that it's still not dissolving like you want it to, you can even drip a little more solution inside of there on the little cotton piece, or even grab a whole nother foil and start the process over again, just to make sure that you're getting off everything like butter. All right, so I'm back. Still got my fingers in nail foils because I'm actually still waiting for the solution to kick in, but I wanted to just kind of wrap this video up now because there's not much to do after this. What you're doing is you're just gonna take your little cuticle thing here, push away all of the excess debris, and repeat the cycle if not enough is coming off. So put another new nail foil down, put some solution on it, soak it on that nail again if you're not seeing enough product come up to get down to your bare bones nails again. So again, this is kind of a tricky phase because you're just going to have to determine how long and what needs to be taken for your particular nails, and how long you can tolerate being in these nail foils. So it really just kind of depends on you and how you feel and how things are going. So once you actually have everything scraped off with your cuticle pusher, what you're going to do is you're going to go in with a thinner nail file, and you're going to take the not so coarse grit and you're going to file gently, gently away whatever loose product is left on your nails, just so you can make sure you have a fully clean, natural nail exposed. Your nails are very delicate at this stage with having these harsh chemicals sit there. So if you file too heavy, you're going to take away a lot of your nail bed real quick, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt really bad. So just be very gentle with your nail file, slow, even movements. Make sure you're getting everything off. And then you can actually let your nails hang out. You can go take a bath. You could go take a shower. I wouldn't suggest leaving your nails naked for too long because I know your nails are quite thin and they're going to just break. But if you're okay with having your natural nails break and you're not worried about your natural length, don't worry about it. Go do whatever you need to do. And then days from now, you can come back and then put on a new set. So one thing that I actually wanted to tackle real quick before I dismissed everything here is it is a myth, proven myth, that nails need to breathe. Nails don't need to breathe. You're fine. So it's definitely something that's been busted. So someone who says, let your nails breathe, that's not a thing. I don't know where that myth came from. I don't know who made that up, but it's nonsense. I've never had to worry about letting my nails breathe, and I've never had an infection, a fungal infection, weakening of my nail bed or plate because I have not let my nails breathe. So you do you take whatever information you want from there, and I guess develop your own opinion. I really strongly suggest that you do that. I know I'm trying to give you as much information as I possibly can from what I know and what I've done my research on. However, you're your own person. Please make sure you go and do the research on whatever you feel you have questions on or whatever you feel you need a little more information on or education on. Please go do that information searching and hunting. I implore you to. And yeah, what I want you to do is just this sole takeaway from this is really gratifying. I love working with my nails, but again, it can be quite time consuming and taxing. So please take your time. Like I said, people notice your hands. So complete strangers, people you're not even shaking their hand, you don't know who they are, they're just randos that you walk by, people are going to grab your hands and notice. People are going to appreciate the work that you do. And it's really, really nice to hear compliments, and you're just like, oh, that's fucking great. It's something I did. If I've done nothing right all day long, I did some fucking badass nails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to think of other things to come up with to try and teach you and have different methods on how I would do that to make it easier for you to learn. There's quite a few things that I probably didn't cover. I know I haven't covered, especially I haven't even touched on the nail art part. I kind of threw these things on just as a, to show you the little bit of nail art that can be done. But there's a world, I know of nail art that can be explored. So I implore you and I encourage you to look at nail art and try and figure out, break it down in your head. How did they do that? How did they do that? Ask those questions. Look to see if those artists that you follow on TikTok and Instagram have a how-to video that goes along with the nail art they did. Quite a few artists do. So explore their page, explore their how-tos, do some quick Google searches on how-to on certain techniques. And if you can't figure it out, send it over to me and I can actually help you figure it out, and we can break it down and I can do a video on how it's done and how different methods on how it's done as well. So I look forward to doing a mini series for you like this because I like sharing my love for nails. I think it's pretty fucking dope. And it's something that's very overlooked. And I like it. I think it's pretty fucking awesome. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pull these things off now because it's been a minute. But let me know if you have any questions. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.